Everybody will, good afternoon, everybody. We will, I guess, hold off here a little bit until we get some more folks in the room and we'll see if we can conduct some business as we get some more participants. I'll, I guess, check back in at 1:05.
Afternoon, Dustin, everyone.
How you doing this afternoon, Walker?
Good. I was just looking up a quote for another reason, but I figured, hey, maybe it's appropriate here and gets us started off. I guess it's an Andy Warhol quote. I didn't realize that, but it's the quote is they say time changes all things, but actually you have to change them yourself. So I figured
Yes,
that was kind of appropriate for a code update tag.
yes. So at the moment, we're still waiting on some more members to join the meeting. We're looks like two slots short of a quorum with what I have shown in the attendance list at the moment. So we're just holding off, and I'll touch base again at 1:05. All right, well, it's 1:05 and we're still lacking sufficient membership and attendance to form a quorum. Let's hold out for an additional 5 minutes. We'll touch base at 1:10 and I'll continue to monitor the participants list to see if we have membership getting us there before that time. So we'll be on hold for a little bit longer.
I think we're just one short now. Is that right, Dustin? We saw Ken joined.
I think so. Give me one moment and I'll do a quick audit. I'll give you an update.
Oh, looks like Samir's coming on too. Okay.
Sorry for being late. Got
That's
stuck
all
in
right,
our meeting.
Samir. Right now it looks like we're just barely at quorum status. So I'll kick this one off. First and foremost, our chair is not here, so I'd like to entertain a motion to nominate and elect a chair pro tem for this meeting.
Okay, I propose Dave to be the chair for this meeting.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
This Kevin, I'll second that.
Any discussion on that before we take a roll or vote on that? Seeing no hands, hearing no voices, all those in favor of appointing Dave Cocott as chair pro tem for this meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Thank you. Are there any in opposition? Hearing no opposition, that motion passes. Dave, you are our chair for the meeting.
Okay, thank you. I'm hoping to eventually just have the chair one of these days. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for a Friday afternoon fire tag meeting, June 7th, continuing our review of the changes significant changes, as well as reviewing the amendments for the International Fire Code for the 2024. I don't know if we have anybody else any other introductions. Let's go ahead and do a roll call by council. Staff.
Okay. Leading off for the chair alternate, Roger Hiringo. Not seeing him in attendance in our participants list. For architect primary, Ning Wang. And I'm not seeing her in our participants list. For architect alternate, Jacob Liddycoat.
Here.
Thank you. For building official primary, Quinn Tai.
Present.
Thank you. For building official alternate, Ray Shipman. Not seeing in the attendance list. For fire official / fire marshal primary, Ken Brulette.
Present.
Thank you. For cities and counties primary, Hugo Sotelo. I'm not seeing in our participants list. For home builder, affordable housing developer primary, Mike Nykram. Not seeing in the participants list. For general contractor or developer, Bill Mybush. Also not seeing in our attendees list. For manufacturer or supplier primary, Ricky Campbell. And I am not seeing him in our attendees list. For fire protection engineer primary, Walker Danucci.
Present.
Thank you. For fire protection engineer alternate, Dave Cocott.
Present.
Thank you. For fire sprinkler industry primary, Sean Morgan. And I'm not seeing him in our attendees list. For fire sprinkler industry alternate, Kevin Marr.
Present.
Thank you. For general public subject matter expert, Samir Mokashi as the primary.
Present.
Thank you. For the alternate in that position, Seth Henderson. I'm not seeing him on the call today. For fire alarm industry primary, David Mao.
Present.
Thank you. For the alternate, Zachary Tuck. I don't see him in our participants. For the fire chief primary, Lance Dahl. And I am not seeing him in our attendees list. And with the current seat occupancies, a total of 7 slots would calculate a quorum. So we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just barely. So we have a quorum today and we can move on with our work.
Okay, as we have a quorum, if anybody has to leave the meeting, please let us know as soon as possible because that does take us out the quorum. We would not be able to do any business after anybody does leave. That is a voting member at this point. Let's go ahead and review and approve the agenda. Any modifications to the agenda proposed?
I would like to suggest that I got chapters 11, 40, 50, and 58 this morning. They weren't posted online. If we can get through the rest of the work, I'd like to just put those towards the end of our list. If we get to them, I'd like to get to them. But if not, I'd like to post them for the next meeting and get them online for everybody. So
Okay.
I would like to move those out of order.
If you can track those in for us, just so as we go through, make sure we get those correct, that'd be fine.
Yep.
Any other comments on the agenda as proposed with modification? Looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second. Swacker.
thank you. That's been motion and second. Any other comment? Any other debate? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now I'll go to review and approve the minutes. We can get those on the screen.
We actually do not have those minutes ready for this meeting.
Very well. So agenda item number 3 will be deferred. That takes us right into item number 4, review of work completed and viewed by staff. Turn it over to Dustin for running us through this.
10-4. Let me complete some notes I'm taking here real quick, and I will begin that. All right. Kicking off, we're going to jump right into chapter 5. And I guess before I do that, I want to just go over our chapter assignments and make sure that I believe that as of this morning, I have everything back from this group as far as the preliminary work here. I've got 5 and 6. I got 10 a while back, but I got 11 this morning. 36, 39, 40, 41 we have. 49 and 50, 56 and 58 we have. And then we're holding off on 80 till the very end. And then we didn't send out any appendices. And I assume that we'll be able to just move those straight forward since we're not proposing any amendments in those unless there's something we need to talk about in those, and we can kind of cover them as a whole at the end. And so we're looking good on the work for this group here today. So jumping off to chapter 5, I didn't share the screen on that one. So my spreadsheet's got a lot of yellow on it, no more orange, pretty much. So I'm going to start sharing my screen now. You should see the agenda pop up here on my screen. I just have it in the background. And let me get chapter 5 opened up here. And chapter 5 was completed by Ricky Campbell. Does anybody see any reason why we shouldn't review this today without his being here?
Yeah, I'd like to go have us go through it.
Okay. Then we will move on to it. So with the existing amendments, we started at 507.3, and with the significant changes, we started at 503.1. So we'll begin there. On 503.1, it's recommending keeping the state amendment. That's not I think it's recommend adoption of the model code on this one. All right. For site safety plan, new language. I don't have any explanation on what we got going on here. And I'm not sure what the code here at the end, the C/N. Quinn, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, for this one on 503.1,
Never mind. Are we still talking about 5031?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong spot on this on the spreadsheet. So yes, let's start at 5031, and I changed that in error.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, that should be keep the state amendment, because I remember talking about this at the last cycle in this tag, and this was a change for us.
So I'm looking at the spreadsheet here and seeing what we've got. It doesn't begin with the existing amendments at 5031, but I have it on the significant changes spreadsheet.
Yeah,
And they
because
have
I remember
recommend-
in the last code cycle when we talked about it, and Dave and Ken, if you guys remember as well, though we recommended that it'll be a locally adopted because everyone has something different.
Okay.
Yeah, the RCW just says we can't adopt any standards as part of this. And I've actually been trying to get a legislator to allow the local standards to be basically put in. I'd also like to eventually see at least a minimum, because we still have a number of counties that do not have an adoption process. So officially they have no code requirements for fire access roads. And this will at least give us a little bit of stopgap that if they come up with their own standards, at least they'd have something in place rather than having nothing at this point.
Gotcha.
So was the last discussion that we had a year ago or so that we adopt the model code to give them, or was this like, I just remember us talking about it. I don't
Yeah,
remember the outcome.
we can't adopt the model code. We have to get an RCW change first.
Got it. Yeah, I just remember this particular discussion, but
Yeah, it's been a hot topic ever since I've been with the Building Code Council tags from long time ago. I really want to get that changed. Just haven't been able to get the push for it. I was hoping we might be able to get one of our legislators to sponsor a bill for this next session.
Okay, recommend keeping the existing state amendment there. Do we need to include 501.3.1 in a significant changes report?
I don't think it necessarily needs to be included. It doesn't look like it's anything significant.
Okay. Delete that row. We'll move through to the next one. We have 507.3 for fire flow with a recommendation to keep the existing amendment. Any comments on that one before we move on? It is.
Can you make the code one a little bit bigger?
Yes, I certainly can. And I'll just reiterate, anytime that we're having issues seeing anything, feel free to reach or to speak up, and I can make things bigger and we can move things around if we want to look at something in particular.
Yeah,
The
this is good.
history of this, the first one that's on there for the R1 or U or other things used only for recreation, that was actually put in for yurts.
Okay.
I want to rewind this just a little bit. I'm looking at the WAC here, and there's some existing amendments still in 503.1.1, and we've got several sections not adopted as part of our. It looks like that's all covered here. It's just not inserted in the way I was expecting to see it here. So we got 503.1.1 is not adopted. 503.1.2, 503.1.3, 503.2, and 503.3, 503.4, and 503.4.1. So all of these are not adopted, and is kind of included in that first section we had there. I just wanted to touch base on that, and I'll need to include these into our existing amendment report for those sections.
So essentially the 503.1 modification is saying instead of the ICC or the model codes, local standards would be adopted, right?
That's correct. There was a legislative action done quite a number of years ago that removed the state from being able to dictate fire access code requirements and leave that to the local jurisdictions. So the proposed amendment that's on here would basically say that, yep, we're just basically confirming that until we get to such time where we want to get the legislator to change it. Go ahead, Ken.
The reference to the high pile storage, and then it talked about in 32, is that to do with the on-site access or the road to it? I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to run through 32 really quick to see where it references go back to chapter 5.
I think it just, again, that by dictating at this point, you have to meet a certain requirement to the state that was in violation of the RCW, so that had to be stricken.
So there's a reference to chapter 32 in this, the model code. So maybe 32 has some requirements, but the road itself would be per this code. I
Okay.
guess.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Ken's just wanting to make sure it's correlated since
Yep.
we're removing it from 503. Or it is removed from 503 already, but maintaining.
All right, moving down. The next section should be 507.3 for fire flow. We talked about that one. Keep the existing amendment, and we'll move on. Next state amendment is going to be in section 508.1.2. With the recommendation to keep the existing state amendment there. Next after that is 510.1. With some state amendments. It is not needed. The new model code language has added number 4 exceptions that we will need to review this one. Does everybody agree with that statement that potentially 510.1 doesn't need to be amended anymore?
And that was the intent, is we were trying to pull in the earlier code when we did the last cycle. So if the only other piece has been added to that from the original proposal is number 4, that'd be the only discussion we'd have. As exception is, are we going to go ahead and accept the one-story buildings not exceeding 12,000 square feet with no below ground areas as an exception to meeting the RCES?
Okay.
Do you have any thoughts from tag members on that?
I'm looking at the current state amendment, and it does appear that model language matches now. So I would
Yep.
agree with Ricky's recommendation.
And including the number 4 as well?
That's
No,
not
sorry,
in our
not
state
number 4.
amendment, no.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think we're pretty well set to, yeah, we don't need the current amendment, but we do have one other piece that's in there that we also want to accept the model language of exception number 4. Ken, do you see any issues with that?
I just was hoping that we could look at the number 4 to see what the code change proposal was and why it got in. Because I know that it's probably was a contentious one that got in.
Okay.
And I don't know which code change proposal it was. I'm trying to look right now to try to find it.
So we
You're in
probably
there
need,
already? Okay.
we need to turn that into blue because that is a new state amendment, shouldn't we?
Which one? The
Exception
blue one?
4. It's in
Oh.
red.
So,
That'd be-
turn it blue. I got you. I hear you now. Sorry.
Okay.
And I think we could leave it underlined just to indicate, yeah, do we want to keep that or do we want to not adopt that one?
So we have that marked as repeal the existing amendment and also review the addition of exception number 4 in here for this line item in the report.
Yeah, and I think that's acceptable for the report. Dustin, I don't think we need to do anything more with it, do we?
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
510.
It'll give Ken some time to get through it.
Yes.
So what
Alright.
you're saying, Dave, is that you don't think it's a significant change to eliminate the one-story buildings?
I think we're leaving it as there's still some action from the tag to work on it, but for this
Okay.
initial report, we don't necessarily have it determined whether we're going to accept it or not.
Okay.
It is showing up in significant changes, so we do have it in there, so.
I'm not finding it, Ken. I'm going through my,
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the 27 code change proposals where they're trying to take it out. And I'm trying to see if that got the first go around voted down.
yeah, I'm not seeing it in 2021 Group A report.
It's F32-21. That was the change.
Thank you.
It was as submitted 14-0.
To remove it,
Who was the proponent? Was it Purdue?
Alan
Purdue?
Purdue.
Yeah, was it Alan?
3221. Yep.
Yep, Purdue.
Okay. All right, because I'm looking at F7724 and I'm seeing what happened because I don't. My suggestion right now is we accept it is not significant, but then there's a possibility that there'll be a code change proposal to remove it based on what's happened at the 27. So
okay, I'm good with
that
that.
would be okay.
Okay, moving on to 510.2. The indication is that this is new model code language and is the state amendment is no longer needed because this is exactly the same as our state amendment. I would say that this should be blue text in here. And would want to verify that this is like there wasn't anything added in here. So let me get another document open just to have on the side here. Give me one moment.
Dustin, I think it's not an entirely added section, so I think we probably just want to go back to the black and blue text that was in the original Word document. Is that what you're pulling up? Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
this is 510.2.
Yeah, section 2.
So yeah, okay. So 510.2, I'm going to black it. And it looks like that's it there for that one. And then looking at our existing amendment. It does look like it's verbatim for what we have in our code. Or in our state amendment, sorry. Okay. I think that if we have a lot of those things where I need to go back and recolorize this, I'm just gonna make a note in the side of this report to do that at a later date, just so we can keep flowing through this document maybe a little faster.
That sounds good. I'd like to see how many we can get through today, if we can get through as many as possible.
So 510.3.
You'll want to make that note on 510.1, Dustin. Sorry.
On 510.1.
Yes.
Okay. Ooh. Okay. And I already did that on 510.2, so we'll skip that for now. And all right, 510.3, permits with an existing state amendment. It says maybe keep the amendment for clarification. He also has a recommend keep on the Word document. Let's see, 510.3. So it's not the same as our state amendment. So on this one, we recommend keeping the state amendment for this section. I'll pull it up. I'll pull it here. So looking at 5310 permit required, and I'll also pull over the other Word document. Or not 5310, I'm sorry. 510.3. So they rewrote the whole section and put permits required into 531. Do we have a recommendation on this section? It looks like we should probably compare with 510.3, the new subsections, to see if our state amendments included there.
I believe the line in the state amendment for maintenance performed is not considered a modification. It's in the IFC language under 510.3.1. I think it's the same sentence.
That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah. So I don't think we need it at the 510.3 level, because I don't believe we need it on operational permit. So
Okay, so repeal the amendment for 510.3.
That's what it looks like to me.
Yep.
Okay. Do we have any additional comments on 510.3, or we want to cover 510.3.1 and 3.2 in a separate line?
I would cover it separately, since 510.3.2 is new and it is a cost impact.
Yep.
510.3.2, recommend review, cost impact, yes. He's got a recommendation of a state amendment for no
So
on
he's
that
got
one.
it in. He's got it in there. Okay.
Look good for that inclusion there?
Yeah.
Can we back up for 1 second here? I'm looking at the model code. And what we just talked about, the maintenance part, I don't think that's the state amendment though, is it? I think the state amendment is I'm trying to look what the difference is. Is it the enhancement? No. Something changed. Personally, I'm not a fan of that terminology. That's last sentence. To me, that's more of a commentary language than code language. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out what our amendment is actually.
So our amendment our amendment was just changing adding the word enhancement in
Yes.
for 510.3.
Yeah.
That was all our amendment was. The model code had maintenance performed in accordance with code is not considered. That's model code language.
Yeah, that's always been model code. Okay, so you guys
Yeah.
were talking about it, and that what threw me for a loop.
Yeah. That enhancement 510.3. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. We could
And
remove that.
yeah, I just think that the document you're showing, Dustin, is just the coloring's something's
off.
wrong with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's throwing me
Um,
off too. Yeah.
So, would it help if I keep this? So the one on the bottom right here is the unadulterated 2024 model code for chapter 5. And then this is the work done here. Would it help if I just keep these open side by side so we can kind of see what is the new language, and
Yeah.
then I can
So-
keep pulling up the actual WAC language here on the side as well.
So yeah, just so people understand is that the 5.10.3 one that you're showing permit required, that was the 5.10.3. So that's what, and then the 5.10.3 is all new language. Just
Yep.
just everybody understand that. So
Yeah, it
Mhm.
became a container for the two subsections that
yeah,
the
Right.
model code now has. Yeah.
Mhm.
So 5.10.3.1, I guess 5.10.3 in the existing amendments, the 5.10.3 move to 5.10.3.1. And
it's just not
we
needed.
don't need it. Okay. So we'll leave that as is. 5.10.3.1. He's got it in the existing amendments report because that's kind of where it moved to. Do we can remove the amendment for this section as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm going to just remove this whole line because it's kind of covered in the line above. Is that agreeable to everybody?
Sounds good.
Okay. And we will move to 5.10.4, which we have in red here. Looks like the model code change added the word enhancement to it, and the recommendation is to remove the amendment. Let's see here, 5.3 or 5.10.4. Looks like ours is just the addition of the enhancement language as well. Everybody agree that the amendment should be repealed?
Hey,
Yes.
Dustin, do you have access to ICC's that shows our 21 code? So because you're
Yes, I
showing
do.
like the entire section, and then we're trying to look at it and compare where it's color coded in the ICC version,
Yeah, I can pull that up.
because that might be easier when you're doing that side by side comparison.
Now, I don't have the paid version of this, but I do have this, so.
There you go. That might make it easier. So everybody understands is the red is Washington State specific previous amendments for 21.
Okay, I thank you for that suggestion. I like the visualization there.
Yeah, and with the new amendment, it basically, we don't
Takes
need,
up the
we don't
amendment.
need our amendment because the ICC's got it in their model code now.
Okay, so 5.10.4. I'll fill in that stuff later. All right, moving right along. 5.10.4.1. Same thing. They just pick up the enhancement language. Five ten 4.1.1 says reviewing model code with the Washington Amendment. Let me pull that back over. And 4.1.1. So do we want to just tag this one for review for maintenance of the existing amendment?
Ken, are you gonna be introducing some new proposals here?
Yeah, there's a good chance of it, yeah.
I've got that in the back of my mind when I'm reading these, so that I think if we hold off and just say, we'll wait and see what proposals we get.
Okay. So keep the amendment and review proposals.
Yep.
And then there's no need to, do I need to go through here and recolorize this one at all?
I don't think so.
Okay. 10.4.1.2. System design 510.4.2. Looks like they added in enhancement and the NFPA 1225 in here. With the recommendation to repeal the existing amendment. Sound good to everybody?
That's 4.2.
Yep.
Or 4, yeah, 4.2. Yeah, that would match our.
Okay. And 4.2.1, same thing. We're saying that our amendment is significantly the same. There's that I can there for 10.4.2.1. Looks like our amendment added enhancement systems there. They probably brought that in there as well.
Yeah, looks like we were adopting early, and now it's caught up.
And we'll be looking at dot proposals.
Five 10.4.2.2. Like most of these, both 4.2.2 and 4.2.3, our amendment added in the words enhancement. And it looks like the model code has picked that up as well.
Maybe on the one on the lower right, right? Correct. I'll move that one up.
Yes, sorry.
There we go. Yep, so that confirms that.
Five 10.4.2.4. Somebody have something? 510.4.2.4. Maintaining parts of the state amendment and review for changes in the model code. Let's see.
Yeah, this is gonna be another section that I'm gonna be proposing to delete. And going with the 27 code change proposal, which is just a reference to 1225 now, so. I think we just,
Wait for the proposal.
yeah, just wait for the proposal to come in.
I anticipated we'd see a number of those in 510.
Yeah, there's the F76-24, which Alan Purdue did for safer building conditions for the 27 code, which that's the direction we're going in. So we're going to do the same thing like we did this last code.
Yep, we're already ahead. Let's keep there.
Yeah, we keep
But-
rolling ahead of,
Okay.
Pretty soon we'll just be adopting the early code with all the proposals we'll get, so then we can skip
Yeah.
them.
get ICC to adopt Washington state language soon.
We have the same stuff happening here. I assume, Ken, you might be putting some proposals, and we probably recommend to keep the amendment and review potential proposals as they come in.
Yeah,
Then 510-4251. Recommend for review. 42,
That's a new section.
sorry. New section. Recommend review. I might pull this one. Want to cut that. 510-4251. He's got it in here with no cost. As far as an amendment needed, do you want to let the industry drive an amendment to this section if we need one?
yeah, that actually section will end up staying. It will end up just getting renumbered in the future. So that will be the code change proposed, just to renumber it, but the language is wanting to stay for 27, so.
Make sure I'm deleting the right one. 510-426. Additional frequencies. We added the word enhancement in the 2021 code, and looks like they brought it up, but they've got a couple more language changes in here. Recommendation to repeal the amendment. Do we expect potential proposals on this one?
No.
Okay. Then 510-427, same thing. They added enhancement in. And in our amendment in 2021, they added the enhancement in. Looks like that one's good to consider repealing.
No amendments to future amendments to that section. It'll just
Okay.
be renumbered also.
So we're talking about the remainder of 510.4, or just should we continue going through line by line?
Yeah, I would keep going through because yeah, I would keep going line by line.
Yeah. 428. So we had a movement of radio communication antenna density. Did that just get moved out somewhere? Or is it replaced by the near far effect?
Let me double check here. I gotta see what my review said. Oh, so yeah, so just near far effect, that's a new language. But you're saying that we had something, we had design documents that we amended, but did we have an,
Yeah, we had radio
Oh,
communication antenna density.
yeah. It's, my was delete amendment language model code has been revised with new.
Okay.
Yes. So we don't need that, but there will be a code change proposal for the 510-428, the near far effect.
Okay. Recommend to review. I'm gonna add this to significant changes. And this is 510-428. He's got that one in here. Ken, do you know if that one has some cost on it?
No, there would no.
And
Nope.
we'll put no
It's
for
yeah,
amendment.
it was just basically bringing in language that was in 1225, and then that's why it's in there new. And then the 27 code said, oh, wait, we're taking it out now. We're telling you go back to 1225. So that's
Okay. So no cost, no amendment needed, but we'll be looking for proposals on this section.
yeah.
Pull that out. All right, noise interference, 510429. That's weird. It's got the same number. You know what? I'm not gonna play with that one.
Yeah. So yeah, no, the noise interference numbering is correct. The 510.4.2.9.
Well, on our Word document here, it's
Oh.
switched to 8.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Okay, so this should be a significant change or listed in that report. We want to.
It really isn't, because the systems were already supposed to be built to 1225, and this again is just some reference from 1225, the noise interference.
Okay. So should I just remove it completely from the reports?
Well, no, I think you just review it and you say, yeah, it's new language, it's significant, but it doesn't have any impact because it was already, I mean, there was no financial impact. But I don't know. I can see doing it either way.
Well, I just want to keep the existing amendments report clean without changes like this. We didn't have an amendment to that section. If I am looking correctly, 510, yeah. So 129. .29 is in there. And as far as this one, no amendment needed, but we'll expect proposals for the whole section pretty much.
Yeah, the only proposal for that noise interference is going to be renumbering.
All right, 510.5. They added in enhancement in NFPA 1225. They're recommending to modify the existing amendment, which looks like, shoot, come on.
And the amendment is what you're not showing. Is see how it says through 510.5.7 on the left hand side, and model code says only 510.5.5, where it says saved to this PC on your document. 510. I guess I'm looking at the wrong one, but
Are we looking at an Excel spreadsheet? Just give me. Oh, I see. Here on this one.
yeah, yeah, that document says 5 because that's the 24 base code, and it says 510.5.5.
Oh. And so we got this in here. So 510.6.4. Do we know if that's appropriate?
Okay, let's make sure we get this. Sure we get this right. So we amended it to say to 510.5.7. So we have 510.5.1 through 510.5.7. That's what we did for our amendment. Because you see how it says mounting a donor antenna?
Yeah.
So we were trying to, we cleaned up and the 510.6.4. Let me make sure, because it says so the the correct thing is the installation should only run to 5.10.5.7. Maintenance starts at 5.10.6. So
So do I have up here on this top document is correct 5.10.5.1 through 5.10.5.7? We should be
for
good.
that section, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm pretty sure.
And then looking back here, 5.10.5, recommend to modify the existing amendment. Do we need to modify it or just keep the existing amendment?
Well, I gotta double check. You have to run down the 5.10.5
Okay.
one base code and see if they've added something that we need to change. Okay, so 1.55.
You're right, 5.10.6 begins maintenance.
Yeah,
So it looks good there, I think.
so we have the state amendment of wiring at 5.10.5.6, right? Yep, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that was an added state section, right?
I think we're good with keeping.
So keep the existing amendment. I think there were some typos in this section here as well, and I need to go back and recolor that. Five ten five one, mounting of donor antenna. Have the existing state amendment to keep that one in here.
Yes.
Five oh 510.521. Recommend to review. Do we 510? So this one will be a change to the model code.
Yeah, this will be the one that you want to do the same thing that we're gonna review it with proposed code changes, because
Gotcha.
I'll be
Entirely
doing a
new.
proposed code change for that.
All right, that one's included. 510.521. 510.5.3, existing amendment. Recommend to review if the last sentence is needed or not.
Yeah, and do the same thing with, there's gonna be a code change proposal to that section. too,
Okay.
So we can. Review that.
510.5.4. Keep the state amendment. Let's see, 510.5.4. Back over to a lot of state amendment in that section. We want to keep it or
Yeah, there was a lot of thought process using the annex and stuff for this with the functional talkback testing and all that, so I don't see a reason to change that. We haven't got any feedback that anybody's having difficulties with it.
Okay. 510.5.5 FCC compliance. Recommend to keep or delete the amendment. They added enhancement. Everybody agree with that one?
Yep.
510.5.6 through 2021 number. Let's see what that means.
So this was something that I grabbed from 1225 before, and we added it in for wiring to help explain what the wiring needs to be. So I would again say we're going to keep it, and then because one of the things that needs to get done is review it with the updated 1225 language to see if anything's changed or not.
You pulled this from this code to pull together
that
21
that
code?
section, that wiring section 510.5.6, all Washington State Amendment, that came from NFPA 1225.
Oh, okay.
From some of it, the annex material, and also the body of the standard.
So Ken, last time we talked about not duplicating language from model code and keeping it simple. So why did you bring it in for visibility?
Because it was asked to put it into the code specifically for wiring, because people kept having so many questions of what type of wiring is allowed for these type of systems. And I would always just say, go to NFPA 1225. And then
find it, yeah.
and nobody was going to it. And then you had to go into the annex section to really understand what it was. So it was easier just to add it as a state amendment to make it clear.
And the annex isn't necessarily enforceable, so you're heading that off as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And is the NFPA 1225, you said that was the 2023 edition?
I don't well, you mean for the 24 code or the 21 code?
For the 24 code.
I don't think it matters because you're taking the language, so it becomes our language.
Okay.
Yeah,
My
it
only-
is. So grab the reference being chapter 80.
Yeah, my only caution, and I'm going to rely on people like Ken here. I don't have access to NFPA 1225, so I don't. If it changes, then hopefully someone will catch the change, and that'll get reflected in the IFC.
Yeah, that's my goal is to take the 27 code change proposal, put it in here. But if the wiring needs to get changed, I will change it to the most recent edition of 1225. I'll put in a code change proposal if this wiring section needs to get updated.
Okay.
Since this was my baby last year, I guess, or last code cycle.
And baby is right.
But personally, that's my only hesitation is when we copy standards or language from other standards and codes, just the maintenance of it. I mean, Ken, you're not going to be around in 20 years or so. You'll retire at some point. So the maintaining this kind of stuff is going to be difficult. So that's something to keep in mind.
That's a tough one because I see Ken's point in this instance that because it is difficult to find, we should put it here. Otherwise, it becomes a challenge in actually implementing it. But your point is if Ken doesn't keep doing code changes, then what happens? Does it get kind of goes to the sideways? So is there a way to reference that it comes from an FPA 1225 in this? That borrowed from 1225?
Yeah, and you could even reference the annex section as being mandatory potentially. 1225 wasn't even referenced. It wasn't even a reference standard in 2021. I see that IFC's got it now.
Well,
But to Ken's point, though, no one's even going to 1225. That's the whole reason why bringing the language over. Even
yeah, I would hope. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
hope the industry improves, but it's only been 3 years, so I'm sure not much yet. Yeah, I agree.
It is a state amendment, so it's going to be reviewed each cycle.
So for 510, 5.7, will we say the same consideration for this section? Is this a 1225?
Yeah, well, let me just clarify it. So when the 21 code was done, it was NFPA 1221. For the 24 code,
Thank you.
it's going to be 1225. Does that make sense that the
Yes.
standard has
Apologies,
changed?
I forgot about the numbering change. Yep. Okay. But I agree, if we're seeing shortcoming in the industry on being aware of and applying those requirements just by reference, I agree it makes sense to incorporate.
I think we can basically do the same wording here, just recommend keep the amendment and review any potential proposals. Too, or just leave it as it had worded there is fine too. Either one. Okay, we're almost done with one chapter in 1 hour, so let's see if we can speed it up a little bit.
5.10.6, maintenance, recommend delete the state amendment. Go. We okay with that one?
Yep.
5.10.6.1. I think the recommendation is to keep the state amendment. We agreeable to that one?
Yep.
Okay. 5.10.6. Dot
1.1. Yeah, this is our alternative in building coverage test. And you're not gonna, it's all Washington Amendment, so it's only gonna be the green up above.
Okay. So does this need a
So you
number
don't
in
have
here?
you don't show a number.
So 5.10.6. Oops. Okay. All right, additional frequencies, recommend remove the state amendment. Looks like the model code language covers this one. 5.10.6.2. And 5.10.6.3, remove the state amendment. It's the same. And then 5.10.6.4, recommend keeping the amendment here. We all go with that one?
Yes.
All right, we'll just pop over here. Looks like we're at the end of the chapter, end of the spreadsheets, and looks like we are ready to entertain a motion for.
You need to on your
Go ahead.
your 5.10.6.4, the green part, 5.10.6.4, that's not right. You
Duplicated the first sentence, right?
well, it should read agency, yeah, the whole
I see.
the state amendment is just added or to disable a system adversely, blah blah blah. That's the state amendment, is the or to disable and all of that, yeah. And then yep, there you go.
And the
Okay.
rest should be black. Yeah.
And since it's my baby, I make a motion that we accept this chapter 5 Excel spreadsheet that covers significant changes and the Washington State Amendments review.
This
Got
is
a motion,
Quinn.
we get a second. Motion seconded.
Who was the second on that?
Me, Quinn.
Quinn, thank you.
Any other comment? Call for the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
I'm a little fast to my opposed. Okay, it passes. We can move on to chapter 6.
Walker has his hand raised.
Good
Yeah,
luck.
I just wanted to note that I may have a conflict on Tuesday, so I was hoping I could get through going back to chapter 49 today, if possible. Doesn't have to be right now. I'm on for the full session today.
Any objection to going to chapter 49 as a modification of the agenda? Okay, let's go to chapter 49.
Thank you. Sorry, you're right. I should have brought it up at agenda.
Oh,
That's
no
all right.
problem.
Thank you.
I mean, I still may not get to vote, but at least I have to have, I get some control.
There you go.
Where did all my stuff go?
So while Dustin's pulling that up, yeah, Dustin had gone through it with the group on a meeting that I could not attend, and I've since revised the coloration that I was using and added quite a few comment pointers so that it's a little more self-sufficient, but figured it'd go quicker if I was here to walk through it with the tag.
Okay, we got some tiny text in here. And zoom it in just a little bit. All right, so you want to kind of just talk us through it, Walker, and I'll drive and follow along with the convo?
Yeah, certainly. So yeah, primarily was really just moving our state amendments from NFPA 130 2020 basis to a 2023 basis. And so yeah, tracking changes on the right using red to add state amendment language, which I've mostly minimized, and then green text and blue strike through to kind of show our existing state amendment and the modifications that NFPA has made since 2020.
And in this spreadsheet here to the left, are we showing the additions of the 2023? These would be proposals needed to include the 2023.
Yeah, that sure wouldn't be
language in here.
necessary because chapter 80 has the NFPA 130 2023 in it.
Okay.
Okay. No, I didn't update the table, Dustin. I think actually you had developed the table,
Okay.
I believe.
That's okay. I can get in here and correlate this. So 4901.3, we do have a change here other than just adding in 2023.
Correct. Yeah, NFPA has made some changes there to clarify the areas of stations that do require automatic sprinkler protection. But our previous state amendment was more specific, and so I revised it so that would read the same as our previous state amendment, our existing state amendment.
And then as far as adding this new section in here, is that editorial or
Yes.
are we going to need a proposal to include that?
I saw that as editorial. We already had modification of 5442 in the existing state amendment, but we didn't call it out specifically as a modified section.
Oh, I see. So down, where did we go? Here, down in 5442, we did have amendment in there, so that's just bringing that up into the top.
Yes. Yeah, 545 did not change. So we're keeping existing state amendment. Similar to the proposed amendment change that we just talked about. Previously 4901.6 did not call out the modifications that were made to 5221 in the existing state amendment. So again, just thought it was important as a pointer.
Okay.
4901.7 here again, editorial. The previous section name was not accurate to the NFPA 130 section being revised in 4901.7. So editorial correction there.
Okay. Ken?
Yeah, I got a question. And you see how the numbering's messed up? Is that like we're down below in a 4901.7 section,
Mhm.
but we're talking about 5.2.4. But didn't we weren't we further down in an NFP document
Yes.
above that?
Yes.
So wouldn't we want to be looking at coordinating this better so it's
So that
flowing?
it flows within the NFPA document better?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, certainly can. Can do that. I
Well,
wasn't
as
sure
far as,
why they were out of order, if there was a reason. But yeah, I agree.
let's pop out here.
Certainly threw me off as I plotted through each section of NFPA 130. It jumps to 45441, 546, and then it goes back to 522.
So, I don't see any reason why we couldn't rearrange it so it reads more smooth for folks. And I don't, as far as a proposal on that, I don't think we need a proposal to reorganize it. Numbers will change. It'll be editorial on this. So move back, keep scrolling. Any comments here, Walker?
5324 was an NFPA 101 reference that was accidentally left in the existing state amendment. So just updating that to correctly reference IBC. 4901.11. So this one I moved because we already had a section that was modifying 5.3. So we'll see it in a moment.
That's this one right down here.
Correct. This is another one I'm consolidating to, one section covering 5.3 requirements.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll see.
And this one, the 4901.10. So just reorganizing it so that these sections are with their other sections.
Correct. Yeah. Which will help us put them in the same order as NFPA 130 goes in. So yeah, that'll be further change we'll have to make, but I was already kind of grouping them by section. So NFPA 130 made a clarification here to refer to multi-leaf doors instead of biparting multi-leaf doors. And they added that where they don't have a center mullion. So I thought that was a reasonable clarification that doesn't affect our state amendments. So we'd keep that. 5311.2 state amendment already had a revision. So here again, just making sure the WAC section is clear. And that was it. Yeah.
That's the end. So as far as a recommendation on this one is pretty much keep the existing amendments, clarify some of the sections that are included in the modified NFPA 130 sections. And then as far as a recommendation, we want to reorganize so that it flows in sequence with the NFPA document.
Yes.
Okay. And we pretty much just have that here as a general 4100 NFPA. Oops. Okay. Anything else we want to talk about on chapter 49?
Did the IBC tag address it?
We haven't gotten to this chapter yet,
Okay.
but they've been they would like us to get stuff to them. So if we would, I guess what I'm trying to say, I guess what is this numbered as in the IBC? So we don't have a chapter 49. I don't have the titles here right in front of me on our assignment list.
It's chapter 10 requirement, that 10008 reference on 4901.17. Or sorry, 5.3.11.1 has that reference.
Oh, I gotcha. So we did go for chapter
oh,
10.
No,
but
that's
I don't
just
think
an
we could
egress.
look at it like this, no.
That's just an egress pointer. I cannot remember where Washington State Building Code adopts.
It's chapter, it's 3116.
6. I'm gonna put a note on our assignment list to look at this document when we look at this chapter.
Yeah, so we just want to make sure it correlates with the 3116.1 or 3116 section for the Washington State Building Code. Because there might be some issues just marrying up everything. Because their section's so much smaller than ours.
Yes, I'm thinking they don't have as many revisions and
No, they do not.
oh, and they got into occupant load even more, I think, than IFC tag did. Okay, yep. There'll be some correlation there.
You said 31 or 3116.
Yeah.
I guess if I could spell or not have fat fingers today, it'd be working. Correlate IBC chapter 3116. Okay. Or correlate with. Okay. All right. Anything else on chapter 49? And I guess we'd be looking for a motion on it.
So I propose more to adopt the changes.
Yes, there's a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and second it. This
Okay,
is Quinn.
Quinn, thank you. Motion is seconded to accept the chapter 49 with the proposed changes proposed in the spreadsheet. Any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good.
All right. Got that one taken care of, Walker.
Thank you. 2 down.
2 down. Let's see.
And a few more to go.
I want to make sure I'm updating our spreadsheet as we're doing this.
We have 10 more chapters to go. So how much did Ricky have on chapter 6?
Well, I have a spreadsheet and a Word document back from him on this. And here's the Word document.
That's 36. So look for 6. We could do 36, so too.
Oh, you said chapter 6. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Here, I'll back up out of that.
Now, I'm looking at numbers, trying to get our number down, so we don't have
Yes.
too many at the next meeting, but looks like we're gonna be a busy next meeting.
Yes.
looks like 6 could be quick if it's true. There's not
That's also, I think,
model code changes. Yeah.
A few in there for whatever reason. My Excel spreadsheet is not opening on this one. I've probably clicked too many times and I'm overloading it. Well, we're at the mercy of technology at the moment, so apologies. Here we go. All right, with the existing amendments. So nothing here for significant changes. 6034.2, nothing. 605411 is our first one. Recommendation to adopt the model code. Looks like the proposal F52-21 addresses the UL listing.
So this is probably an ICC editorial error. I referenced that F5221.
Mhm.
It seems like it got missed in the printing in the 24 code, the addition of the UL 142A. So we might not need a state amendment. So in the next printing of the code, it might be correct.
so we may want
Gets
to
that.
keep it and see if we have a proposal to correct it.
There you go.
Like he's got here, so keep the amendment unless there's a errata on it.
Yeah. Allow us to move it forward. Yeah, like we have before.
Same for these next couple here, 605421 and 422. He's got the same comment, so we want to keep these the same unless the model code fixes the mistake.
But you just want to make sure that your color coding's wrong still. It's not all green.
Yes, I'm realizing that with both of Ricky's documents, I'll have to go back in and change the color scheme on them.
Okay.
Oops, I'll do that. Okay. 6062. Recommends keeping the existing state amendment. Does that look good for everybody?
Yeah, and I think I wrote, we'll need to update WAC with new model code language, which deletes 507.4 and 507.5 exception number 1. So
Said 507.4 and 507 dot what?
7.5. Yeah, 507.4 and 507.5 and exception 1. Okay, so exception 1, if we go back up here, I wrote that which the model code language deletes 507.4, and because our WAC probably still shows it.
And in 507, we only have 507.3 as an amendment in there right now.
Okay, hold on. Maybe I'm not explaining myself. Let me pull up the WAC. Okay, 606.
Oh,
Okay, so in the 606.2 in our WAC 5154A, see where up there it says 507.4
mhm.
and 507.5, the International Mechanical Code?
Yep.
We need to change that to match the model code language for the exception. See what I'm saying? It's not,
So these sections here.
yeah,
are-
yeah.
We
So
need
the
we need to correlate the two together so they're the same.
Okay. Oops. 4 and 507.5, 2. Do we want to say it's 507.1.6 and 507.2.10 of the IMC?
I think we matched the base code language because that
Okay.
was not an amendment unless we have amended, did something specific in 507.4 and 507.5 of the mechanical code, but we're not showing that. I think this was our WAC was maybe done wrong. That 507.4 and 507.5 was just wrong.
Okay. So just to make sure we're capturing it accurately for the report, I guess need to update the WAC for exception 1 on this section and make sure IMC codes are accurately referenced.
And it's all of the exceptions we better reference because I think in our WAC also number 2 references also 507.4 and 507.5, and they're not listed in the model code. So I just want to make sure we're not just going to reprint the same stuff that was messed up in the 21, which I don't think we're going to do it based on your document on the right.
Gotcha. So if we keep the state amendment and just have this here,
We should be fine.
Yeah. Okay, but we need to just verify that our WAC captures this accurately.
Well, if we're going to do WAC still, that's the whole thing. Is
True.
Yeah, if we're not doing WAC anymore, then we don't have to worry about it.
That is correct. So if we just make this amendment or change the amendment like this, it'll be okay. (606.21) domestic cooking appliances. Let's keep the state. I assume that this is meant for up here. 606.21. Keep the state amendment.
Yeah, and I also had a comment just correlate with the mechanical code again. So when that tag comes alive,
That's 2 purple, huh? 606.3. Recommend to keep the state amendment that references chapter 12 of NFPA 96. Where is 606.3.
Yeah, we just need to add in and chapter 12 of NIP 96. Yeah.
Okay.
Chapter 12 of.
Oh. Thank you. All right, with that one, I believe that brings us.
Hold on, can you go back to that previous one?
Yes.
For 606, where point 3 says through 606.34, the model code changed to 603.33. Am I looking at the right one? Nope, never mind. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. Sorry about that.
Okay, no worries.
We'll remember that, Glenn.
It's been a long day. It's Friday.
It's Friday, and some people it's their day off.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate those coming in on their days off to participate. So with that brings us to the end of chapter 6.
So it looks like we've got everything adjusted here. We're looking for a motion to accept the spreadsheet and forward this to the report.
I'll make a motion.
Glenn with the motion. Do I get a second?
This is Kevin, I'll second.
Thank you, Kevin. Moved and seconded to move this to the report for chapter 6. Any other discussion on the motion? If so, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Okay, next up on the list would be chapter 10. Walker, how much is in this?
I'm not up to speed on chapter 10. Is this just bringing the building code in,
Well, yeah,
or B tags work in, or?
we had you, Jake, Lance, and Ray. So we did get something for that, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, I don't remember if. Okay, I hadn't seen it come through. I can't remember who was taking the lead on 10. I'm glad they got through it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Might have been Jake that did it. I don't know if
I'm next one.
You're on 11. Okay, I think it was Lance then. Am I remembering correctly?
I think so. I'd have to look back at the emails. I didn't narrow down the names on our spreadsheet when I got this one in. I just marked it as we have it. So
Got
let
it.
me.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the older one, so I'm just trying to see whose names were on there.
I think Lance was taking the lead, and obviously he was trying to get it in as quick as he could get finished. So I don't.
How much do we have on that spreadsheet? Is that the only page, or it looks like it could be a long one?
I think
Yeah, this is the only page. Well, I guess that's the only page that I hadn't scrolled to the top of yet. And that's significant changes. And I don't have anything on the existing amendments review page, so it looks like maybe all the work is here on this page.
And we have roughly 20 minutes.
I don't think it's going to go
Just on our proposed
if we
time.
try to do it.
Yeah.
If I could suggest, chapter 11, if I did it roughly right, is pretty short. And there wasn't many changes at all, so that might go quick if we have time for it.
Okay, Jake,
If we
let's
go to
just
chapter 11 instead.
Let's do chapter 11.
I don't know that I did the significant changes portion right, but
We
I
can
don't
go
know.
through that as we scroll through.
Yeah, but the existing amendments, if we start there,
Yeah.
they move pretty quick.
And then I don't think I got a Word document with this one, so I will pop open the Word document here. Give me just a moment. Okay, so this is just a raw document here, and then
Under tag member, I don't know, I read that 3 times and still did it wrong. I just did hyperlinks to the WAC amendments just for my
that's
own
okay.
clicking back and forth.
Yeah, as far as this one, this was just to kind of keep it is more of the tag member was supposed to go here. You have the hyperlinks here accurately. The tag member is just a line here, not a
Oh,
column.
okay.
Okay, so in our WAC 1103 is where we start off with state amendments. I'll just scroll through kind of quick. We have 1103.2 with a
Editorial
amendment
change.
here. And it looks like the recommendation is to remove the 2024 or remove the amendment because the 2024 IFC matches our state amendment. Looks like another place where they've added the word enhancement into the line of the code language. Yeah. So see that one. Okay. Moving on, still in 1103.4.3. So in this one, I have the alter the text to match the 2024 IFC. I'm just going to read out the state amendment. I have in other than group I occupancies. So we have we would just consolidate I2 and I3 into I occupancies. Here. Green and strikeout. And other than group I occupancies, interior vertical openings connecting more than 5 stories shall be protected by fire resistant and smoke rated construction. Exceptions, there's 3 of them in our state amendment, and looks like there's 4 of them here.
Added.
And exception 1, vertical opening protection is not required for group R3. Number 2, vertical opening protection is not required for open parking garages and ramps. Come on, work with me. There we go. Number 3, vertical opening protection for escalators shall be in accordance with 1103.48. So this one right here is struck. Wait, vertical opening protection. Interesting.
No, it's number 4 is added. Exit access isn't in the current WAC.
Right. So our state amendment for exception 3 here just says section 1103.4.8. Is it possible that chapter or these sections 11.4 and so would it be appropriate to incorporate these not new sections, but these model code sections for group B and E, M occupancies and escalators connecting 4 or few stories?
Yeah, they appear to be referring to the 3 sections following that are specific to escalators, so.
Right. So I just, in our state amendment, here's what we're looking at.
Yeah, seems to make sense in the model code, and the state amendment doesn't seem to line up. I'm looking at the ICC safe copy to see the coloration, and yeah, don't think the existing state amendment was accurate. Unless anybody that's been involved longer remembers anything specific on this.
Well, the proposed amendment was something that I did a few years ago, only because I got into an issue with another fire protection engineer, like that doesn't happen. Basically, whenever we were dealing with the separation for elevator lobbies, because the typical elevator doors are rated to 1 hour, but we were concerned that, well, if we're trying to do separation, do we also prevent smoke from coming through that shaft? So that's why we put the language in that we did to help clarify that. So that's just a little bit of background as to what occurred back then.
Was that more than a cycle ago, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay. And actually, so 110343 is for more than 5 stories.
Mm-hmm.
And then the exception points to
11
4.6, which is 4 or fewer. It points to 4.7, which is more than 4. I don't think it should point to 4.6 because 4 or fewer is not more than 5.
Points. Oh, you're right. Yeah.
But anyway, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole.
Should we mark this one for review of the existing state amendment?
I think so.
Yeah, seems like we should come back to it when we have.
We could
more
spend a lot of time on it, and if that's the case, let's go ahead and we'll wait on that.
Review the existing state amendment for accuracy within the 2024 code, kind of fit what we want to do here.
Yep.
Okay. Still within 1103 nightclub, section 1103.56.
I suggested no change. It's just not, there's no mention of it in chapter 11 anymore, but
Okay.
it seems applicable.
It's a specific nightclub rule that was put in by the legislature.
And it's all specific Washington amendment, right?
Yes. In response to the station nightclub fire, that was an amendment that we put in. Based on some legislative direction for defining nightclubs, it's within the fire code was defined a specific occupancy type, and there was a number of issues of getting compliance with existing facilities to comply with it. So yeah, we definitely don't want to be messing with that one.
Model Code Chapter 9 has caught up, I believe. I don't see anything that would conflict with what I saw in Chapter 9. So, but yeah, agreed. Good to have it here too.
Yeah. Yeah, we retroactively required them to do it, so we need to maintain it. I had a lot of newspaper articles that had my name in it because of that.
Celebrating your work, I'm sure.
Yes, it was. Well, my first and last name were the first words in a newspaper article. So I'll just leave it at that.
1103.9 carbon monoxide detection. Let's see, reviewing changes in 915.43 and WAC 915.11. As far as this one, I guess let's look at what the amendment looks like. 11039, carbon monoxide alarms. Okay,
At 915.4.3, it just seems to not be the ideal place to point people, was my interpretation of that.
okay.
And so from the chapter 9 review, I believe carbon monoxide in general was something we were gonna spend some more time on for further review. Do we lump this section into that further review?
Yes.
I think so. And a lot of this came from a special tag that the building code council actually had to do 2 special tags. So did the effort on the language, it changed it, had a lot of fight from people once we had published it, so we had to go back and redo it. So carbon monoxide has been a challenge for the council over the years. So I definitely would suggest let's take a look at things.
Would it be keep the existing amendment, but review for the changes in chapter 9?
I think it's more of a correlation to kind of basically come it, because I think the new code has some better language in it, and I don't know for sure how ours is looking at it. So I think it's just looking at the whole subject just one more time.
Okay.
Yeah, there's so many changes on it in chapter 9, I think.
Yeah.
We at least want to make sure they can correlate. Yep.
So I
Yep.
guess as far as the recommendation for the amendment, keep it, but correlate the changes in chapter 9?
For now.
Okay. All right. Means of egress for existing building 1104.1.
Hey, Dustin, my computer's gonna shut down, so I might be restarting in a couple minutes.
Okay. We got 8 more minutes left in the meeting. I think hopefully we can try to get it done before your computer restarts. Maybe. Looks like this section, means of egress building, has moved to section 1032. Do we need to review this any further? Or we are going to catch this in chapter 10.
Let me double check that, because it seems odd it would have done that. I wonder if I mistyped that.
I'm back. Switch computers.
Oh, cool.
No, it changed the same. That was a copy paste there. It changed to the same. So it's still 1104.1.
But they just changed the name then?
No, that was just my mistake on the 2024 code. I had copied over that 1032. There was no change at all to it.
Oh, I hear you.
Yep.
All right. No change. So I just need to put the existing amendment language in here.
While you're typing that one, jump into the next section. Ken had a comment in his. I'm not familiar with some of the Medicare, Medicaid stuff, so if someone else would speak to that, I left it in here just as a note because he had it. It seemed like it might be applicable.
1105.1. Looks like the recommendation is to keep the existing amendment. Adds this section shall be applied by jurisdictions conducting surveys for compliance with the federal centers for Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement program. And that should look like so we like keeping that one in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good pointer to the federal requirements.
We've run into that a few times.
Yeah, basically tell you gotta correlate with the additional 101 that's adopted by
With their Medicaid.
CMS. Yep.
We lost a few CO requests because of that.
Okay.
Well, hold on a second. You can't get rid of the existing group I2 shall meet all of the following requirements. That needs to stay in
Oh,
there
yeah.
after this section.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
That's base code language that needs to stay in.
Yeah, ICC safes
And-
coloration is inaccurate. Yep.
And that's actually model code language.
Yep.
Okay. There we go. All right.
Okay, so that should get us through chapter 11.
The only remaining item was 1107 under chapter 11 is energy storage. This is a new section. There isn't a whack for it, but I don't know if that's something that
That's all new code, so
it obviously has a cost associated with it.
yeah, that would be a significant change.
I think all the other ones aren't significant, and 1107 is the only one that would be significant if I understand how that works correctly.
Yeah,
So do we want to say no amendment needed and let the proposals drive changes here?
I have a hard stop at 3.
We'll wrap up here real quick. So while I'm do we want to take a quick motion on this chapter?
yep, looking for motion to move chapter 11 to the report.
I propose.
Okay, Samir's first,
I'll second this Walker.
second. Any comment? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, chapter 11's move forward.
Okay, awesome. Real quick before 3 o'clock, we're not the only tag who's not done with the work here. Here, I'm gonna stop my screen share. Stop share. And I'll turn back on my video. So we're not the only tag that hasn't finished up work on these reports. Both the IBC tag and the mechanical tag are not finished getting these reports done. So if we try to force a report by the committee meetings next week, we would need it done today so we could post it and have it compliant with the OPMA requirements for that meeting. So then if we pushed the committee meetings back, we'd run into the same issue for the council meeting. And so we're looking at pushing the reports out until July. And then I would like to ask this group what their feelings are on opening the proposal period at this council meeting without this report being available. Do you think that we should open the proposal period, or should we delay the proposal period until we have these reports available?
I would suggest we open for the proposal period, because we have people ready to go with their proposals. They've already, pretty much a lot of people are gonna know what it is. So I'd like to go ahead and open it up.
And that is kind of the general consensus that I've had talking with other folks about this. And so haven't made a decision yet. I'm trying to bring in the chairs of all these groups and the council chair to just talk about it and make sure that we're all kind of aware of what the condition is right now before we make a decision this afternoon on it. But
I would just hope that, I would just hope
ahead,
you're
yeah.
not shortening it, the period,
No.
you're just actually making it longer, right?
We're looking at opening the proposal period for the 60 days, either at this meeting or at a special meeting in July. And,
But I think what Ken is saying, by 60 days, are we ending it earlier because we're opening it up earlier?
Because that could
No.
cause issues.
No. So we have a minimum of 60 days required for the proposal period within our WAC on that, so that we can't go any shorter than that. So no matter when we open it, it's going to be a 60-day period.
So currently that is
That'll be
scheduled
for-
for June 21st to August 20th.
Correct. And so it's my hope that we're going to get that open here at this council meeting, but I'm just making folks aware of it here, and I wanted to get the kind of overarching opinion of the folks in these groups, what the opinion is on the proposal period. As far as the reports go, like Dave said, people are in the wings ready with the proposals to submit. So they've been doing that work without this report anyway. And so I'm looking to keep the momentum moving and try to absorb some of the change a little bit. So by pushing back, if we pushed it any further into July for the proposal period, we would be looking at a shorter review time for the CR 10 or for the proposals, so we can generate our CR 102, and we don't want to do that either. So it's my hope that we will get it all opened up here at the June meeting.
And I think
And as
what
far
we're
as
doing is
the-
we're also posting all the documents that we're starting to receive at this point. So we should have most of ours should already be posted now. If not, they will be next week. So
Yes,
the public will have access to that information, even though we haven't had our meeting yet. They still have access to be able to see what we're looking at.
yep. And as far as the committee meetings go, we don't have anything as far as a topic for the building side of that, but we will still have the other committee meeting. We have a code interpretation request pending, so we'll still have one committee meeting next week, but it won't be one that's associated with this group. And is there anything else I can address? Comments, questions, concerns at this point?
So our next meeting is still planned for next Tuesday.
Yes, and I don't see any need to hold it for 3 hours or anything like that. I think unless we want to, so we can get it done. Just a painting of a picture of what happens after this group finishes what we've been working on. Staff is going to take all the reports, documents that we have here, and we will be collating them into one massive report document and inserting some of the code text in there as well, so that as someone reads the sections here, they'll be able to see the code sections that are affected. They won't have the context of the code sections around it unless there's other stuff right there within the report. And so that's going to take a while for staff to get done. And so once we can get through the preliminary approvals here, we can take a pause on the meetings and staff will get those done, and then we can get that reconvene to review the master document and get it ready to present to the committees above us.
Thank you. I have to leave.
Okay, thank you, Samir.
Yeah. So as Roger's not here, but I think that one of the things that we might want to consider is if we could get it done on Tuesday, do we want to do the 3 hours and push for it and make sure we can get it done in that time? That's up to the that's up to the tag.
Yep, I'm up for it. I would actually prefer that.
Go ahead, Ken.
Dustin, when are you going to know if you get to be able to eliminate the WAC and just go with the code part? Because that does kind of affect the code change proposals.
Yeah.
When will we know?
So I would say that right now we're moving that direction. I still am waiting on a review from our AG to make sure that the plan moving forward, coordinating with the Washington State Register, is viable. We've got buy-off on the Washington State Register that it'll work, and we're just making sure that language changes that'll happen in the beginning WACs of our codes will suffice. So we're gonna have to have some website stuff in there, and we've got several lawsuits going on right now, and they are kind of focused on that instead of getting back to me on the adoption by reference topic. But I would say that the momentum and direction that we're moving in is to do it that way, and I would hope that folks can draft the code proposals. If there's a WAC reference that we need to make in there, we can make it. But if it doesn't come in, I don't think it'll be the end of the world for that proposal.
Okay, so the proposals won't get denied then if
If the
we
WAC
do it
isn't
with that.
referenced, no.
Yeah,
I would
perfect.
say
All
no.
right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So does Tag think we want to go for 3 hours on Tuesday? What do I hear from everybody? I'm available to do it. In fact, June is challenging for me, so if I can get it done by that time, I know that I'll be able to continue participating.
So that'd be a 1 to 4 p.m. Is that what we're
Yes.
saying instead of the current 2 to 4?
Yep.
I have a conflict for next week, but that would allow me to join another half hour of it.
I can make it work on my end.
I do have a conflict. No, never mind. I'm sorry. On Tuesday, I'm good to go. For the entire afternoon. I was looking at Monday on accident. Sorry.
Okay. And hopefully we can get some of our other members that were not participating today showing up next week. So that'll be a good thing, is maybe we take a policy who can do it for the 3 hours. See if we can get people at 1 for sure. At least get started, and if other people come in at 2 to still add to it, at least we've got a quorum to start with.
Yeah, my conflict is 1:30 to 2:30, so I'm in favor, so I can be there for the start of it at least, and then I'll rejoin.
Okay.
It does, Dave or Dustin, just to backtrack a little bit, what was so what if we open up the proposal period, are we only talking about IFC, or are we talking about straight across the board for all the code changes?
All of our group 1 codes.
Got it. Okay. And we're thinking June 20th is what you're saying?
That is what we're looking for right now, and that's my hope that the council will vote for that.
Got it. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, well, Dustin, let's see if we can get a tally of who can be there at 1 o'clock. Make sure we can get at least an identity of a potential quorum. Go from there.
Alrighty, I'll work with folks to get a poll out here today. I'm gonna go ahead and alter it online, and if we need to make a change as we get the poll results back in, we'll alter it there, and anything 24 hours before that meeting will be locked in.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Anything else from anybody? Looks good.
All right, thank you everybody for participating. We'll hopefully see everybody on Tuesday.
Yep. Thanks again, everybody.
Have a great weekend.
You too.
Thank you.